Hey guys, welcome to Retro Review. My name is 808 and in these videos I'll be reviewing some classic games from my collection and let you know whether or not they're still any good, if they're hard to come by, and if you should pick them up. In this episode I'll be reviewing one of my favourite games for the PS2, Street Fighter Alpha Anthology. Street Fighter Alpha Anthology is a compilation of games that include Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter Alpha 2 Gold, Alpha 3, and Super Gem Fighter Minimix. It was first released in Japan in 2006 under the name Street Fighter Zero Fighters Generation, and then shortly after in North America and the rest of the world under the Alpha Anthology title. All the games apart from Alpha 2 Gold are ported from the original arcade versions, so they look just as good as they did back in the day. And one of the best features of this collection is the inclusion of a couple of secret games, such as Hyper Street Fighter Alpha, and which I'll go into more detail a little later on. The Street Fighter Alpha series, if you're not familiar with, are 2D one-on-one fighting games released by Capcom back in the mid-90s. The original Alpha was released in 1995 and was the first truly new Street Fighter sequel to come out since the release of the immensely popular Street Fighter 2. The art style in the Alpha series was heavily influenced by the Japanese anime movie Street Fighter 2, which was released in 1994 and had become immensely popular with Street Fighter fans. The original Alpha introduced a bunch of new ideas and mechanics to Street Fighter not seen before, such as air blocking, alpha counters, and chain combos. It also brought back and expanded on the Super Meter, first introduced in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. There are 13 characters in total if you include the 3 hidden characters Bison, Dan, and Akuma, which is pretty low even for the time and is one of the biggest criticisms of the game. Fights consist of 2 characters facing off until one character's life bar is exhausted, and generally fights are best of 3 rounds. There are a couple of different modes on offer: Arcade Story Mode, Versus Mode, Training Mode where you can practice your moves and combos, and Dramatic Battle Mode, which again was inspired by the film, and lets you and a friend or a computer-controlled character fight as Ryu and Ken against Bison sharing the same life bar and super meter. Compared to the other titles in this collection, this one definitely feels lighter on content, but is still a lot of fun to play. In typical Capcom style, they followed up the success with the first game with a bunch of sequels. Alpha 2 introduces 5 new characters as well as a couple of brand new secret characters like Evil Ryu and Shin Akuma. It also has new stages, music, endings, and introduces the custom combo system that allows you to use your super meter to create some pretty ridiculous combos. This game plays a little faster than the original Alpha and has a bit more depth, but otherwise it feels pretty similar. This version introduces a bunch of gameplay balances and tweaks originally released in the Japanese arcades under the title Street Fighter 02 Alpha. The Cammy sprite from X-Men vs Street Fighter is added to the roster, and unlike the arcade version, she can be selected in arcade mode and has a full story and ending. Unless you're a seasoned Street Fighter enthusiast though, you'd be hard pressed seeing the difference between this game and the original Alpha 2, and it's kinda strange that Capcom included both versions on the disc. Alpha 3 has the largest amount of changes and feels a lot different to the rest of the Alpha games. It brings back all 19 characters from Alpha 2 Gold, as well as 12 new characters, new stages, new moves, music, endings, and so on. Alpha 3 also introduces the isms that allow you to customize your meter setup before each match depending on your preferred playstyle. Alpha 3 definitely feels a lot faster than the other games and has a much bigger emphasis on combos and juggling your opponent. This version is probably the least casual of the lot, and it might just be me, but this version feels a lot harder too. The last game in this collection is Gem Fighter Minimix, which is sometimes called Pocket Fighter. This game features tiny dwarf-sized characters, which originally came from the popular Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, which is a Tetris-style puzzle game released by Capcom in 1996. This game includes characters from Street Fighter, Darkstalkers, Cyberbots, Red Earth, and Street Fighter 3. It wasn't received well when it came out, and it was criticised for being too cute and lacking content. I actually really like this game. It doesn't have the depth of the other Alpha games, but if you play it with a couple of friends, it can definitely be fun. Now, in addition to these 5 games, there's also some hidden games, which can be unlocked by completing a specific criteria. Hyper Street Fighter Alpha is definitely the most interesting of all the hidden games. This game has only one mode, which is Versus, and there's no computer-controlled opponents at all, so this version can only be enjoyed if you have a buddy on the couch with you. That being said, what you do get is the most comprehensive versus mode of all the alpha games, because not only does it have every character from each game, it also lets you choose what version of the character you want to use. There are even some secret versions of characters. I know, secrets within a secret. Some of these allow you to choose versions of characters from the crossover games like Marvel vs. Capcom. This gives characters new moves and animations, like giving Ken an air fireball or Akuma a big fireball. There are literally hundreds of different character versions and matchups to try, and this hidden game is easily one of the best reasons to pick up this collection. The presentation of this collection of games is pretty bare bones. The interface to select a game couldn't be much more basic, and outside the games themselves there are no options or extras to speak of. Despite this, Alpha Anthology is definitely worth considering for any Street Fighter enthusiast, and anyone who missed out on these games when they first came out. There's a decent amount of content in the actual games and plenty of secret stuff to discover and play around with. You can still pick this up pretty easily and cheaply on eBay, although prices have been on the rise at the time of me making this video. So overall I give Street Fighter Alpha Anthology an 8.5 out of 10. If you've got any questions about this game or have a suggestion for a game for me to review in the future, let me know in the comments, but otherwise I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all later. And then shortly after in North America and the rest of the world under the Alpha